can we talk a little bit about Lyme as well? Because it's something, I think it's another one of those mystery illnesses that I think more and more doctors and practitioners are starting to look for that aspect than in the past. But there's still a lot of people dealing with that have no idea that they have Lyme. Can we kind of start with the basics with what Lyme is and what it may present as for some people? And then
Sure.
you don't have to remember this because I'll get to this as well. But the Lyme and mold connection, because
Yeah. Oh,
there is a
yeah.
correlation there,
Oh, there
and they
is.
they
There is
cannot
a
coexist with
correlation.
each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, Lyme is a bacteria, Borrelia burgdorferi, but there's several, right, strains or varieties of Borrelia bacteria. Um, and I mean, people get it typically if they're bitten by a tick, but if you're bitten by a tick, often other co-infections may come in as well. So a lot of people can have, we all have pathogens in our body, all of us. And if our immune system's in check, our body should keep that pathogen dormant, not active. But if our immune system's not in check, if we're under a lot of stress or we've been in mold or we're highly toxic from mold and other toxins and pathogens, the immune system is suppressed and it can't do its job. So I sort of suspect with me having unknowingly been in mold since I was 3 and I lived in Pennsylvania, we had dogs. I was out in the woods hiking, doing stuff, had ticks on me all the time. Our dogs were in bed with us. I know eventually we did tick stuff for our dogs, but I just remember all of us had ticks on us. So, I mean, I never had a rash from Lyme. I never had that. But I think because I was in the mold, my body, couldn't fight it because my toxic load was high and my immune system wasn't working the way it should have been. Um, so, a lot of times, people who have chronic Lyme, in reality, the symptoms of Lyme can really mimic, they overlap, they can mimic each other. And it can be very confusing to know what's what because you can have neuropathy with Lyme and you can have neuropathy with mold, you can have neuropathy with parasites. Um, so, where was I going with that? I lost where I was going with that.
Just how they mimic each other, which I think
Yeah.
can make it difficult to understand what
It
you.
does, but if somebody has chronic Lyme or you're diagnosed with Lyme, I say to people, you need to check your environment for mold. I just had a patient, a family yesterday, and it broke my heart. And I'm seeing more and more very, very sick patients that, like the conventional doctors, right, are just totally gaslighting and dismissing. And this patient was a family who all had health issues, but their son was autistic, and then they had a water leak and a sewer gas leak, and now he's nonverbal at the age of 19. But he's also showing signs of rage, and I'm positive he has Lyme and Bartonella that are active, and gave them information for testing. But they are living in, I think, very high levels of water damage. They had an inspector come in who didn't really do things right, but the moisture meter was showing issues in the son's bedroom. And I just said, he's not going to become verbal, in that environment. That the tick-borne illnesses with the mold are inflaming the brain. So, I mean, I think they trust me that I'm right, but we haven't had confirmation yet. But I see it more and more kids and people with psych issues. I did not. I was very fortunate. I had Bartonella 22 years undiagnosed. I had unbelievable neuropathy, unbelievable nerve pain, and a lot of nerve pain in the process of healing. Um, but I didn't have the mental symptoms at all. I feel very fortunate that I didn't. But I really think a lot of these issues with mental health are related to tick-borne illness or mold. And, we always focus on mold, 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 but when you're in water damage, it just creates this environment where your body's more toxic, and then all the bad bugs in the body can thrive because the body's more acidic and toxic. So everybody that I see that's been in mold or has SIRS or has Lyme, they all have a high load of other toxins, parasites, viruses, bacteria, heavy metals, and I have to address all of that to get them well, not just focus on killing the Lyme or addressing mold and mycotoxins in the body, or they're just not going to feel as good as they could feel.